Kabul, capital of Afghanistan. History and geography have transformed this mountain kingdom into the crossroads of Asia. A blend of old and new, Afghanistan, with a population of some 15 million, like India, looks ahead, ensuring a sound economy through successive 5-year plans. Fruits of success in more ways than one. For Afghanistan's famous fruits are export earners to the tune of 150 million rupees annually. Equally famous are Afghan hand-woven carpets. Other export earners, a fine range of garments fashioned from fur and karakul. The streets of Kabul present a kaleidoscope of tradition and the modern outlook. June 5th, 1969, Kabul Airport. India's Prime Minister, warmly welcomed by the Afghan Premier, Mr. Nur Ahmed Etamadi. Srimati Indira Gandhi arrives on a 5-day state visit of goodwill that will reaffirm political understanding as well as strengthen the age-old ties of trade and culture. The welcome all along the route to the state guest house is one of the biggest and warmest ever. India pays homage to the late King Nadir Shah, father of His Majesty King Zahir Shah, and founder of modern Afghanistan. Exchange of views with Afghan royalty. His Majesty King Zahir Shah and Srimati Indira Gandhi expressed the feelings of friendship that exist between the two neighborly nations. A living symbol of freedom, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as the Frontier Gandhi, a freedom fighter of 4 decades who is at present staying in Afghanistan. Though weighted by the years, the 82-year-old freedom fighter has not lost even today his youthful spirit. This venerable veteran of Indian independence is to receive this year the Nehru Award for International Understanding. A historic moment, the meeting of 2 of India's foremost fighters for freedom. Memories crowd this moment as Srimati Gandhi invites Badshah Khan to visit India later this year. At the state banquet hosted by the Afghan Prime Minister, the identity of outlook of our two countries on many problems is underlined. These include the progress of underdeveloped countries in the world community of nations. Proposing a toast, Mr. Etamadi says,
"The bonds of friendship between Afghanistan and the Indian people, whether in times of their struggle for freedom or thereafter, are a continuation of the history, culture, and humanism which the people of the two countries have shared for times immemorial."
In her reply, India's Prime Minister says,
"I'm glad to see the spectacular progress which Afghanistan has made. The process of modernization is making visible advance under the dedicated guidance of His Majesty the King and of your government."
The Bamiyan Valley in Afghanistan, located at a height of over 3,000 meters, continues to astonish tourists and scholars alike with its multi-monumental splendor. Srimati Gandhi visits this ancient treasure house of Indo-Afghan culture. Gargantuan in size and conception are the two statues of Lord Buddha, tallest in the world and inspired more than 16 centuries ago. Religious and creative zeal, 53 meters tall. India and Afghanistan are cooperating today to preserve and restore these monuments that are a mutual heritage of our two countries. The Prime Ministers of India and Afghanistan agreed to set up a joint commission that will develop on a greater scale economic and trade cooperation between the two nations. The two leaders discuss, among other things, bilateral relations, matters of regional interest, and the international situation. June 7th, India's ambassador to Afghanistan, Mr. Ashok Mehta, placed host at a reception in honor of India's Prime Minister. Among the distinguished guests are the Afghan Premier and Badshah Khan. One of the engagements of the 5-day state visit, a drive into the Afghan countryside, framed by the snows of the Hindu Kush range of mountains, an offshoot of the Himalayas. Next on the program, a visit to the Women's Welfare Center in Kabul, where the Prime Minister sees the progress made by the women of Afghanistan. Once a mother, always a mother. India's Prime Minister presents a cheque of 12,000 rupees to the centre, as well as a dozen sewing and knitting machines. Afghanistan enjoys, like India, a democratic form of government. Addressing the members of the Afghan Parliament, members of the diplomatic corps and government officials, Srimati Gandhi accents the difficulties a developing country must face in banishing poverty. She also refers to the similar tasks facing our two nations and to the advance India is making in the fields of science and technology. A meeting with His Royal Highness Marshal Shah Wali Khan, uncle of His Majesty King Zahir Shah and a great friend of India. India's breakthrough in matters of health come into bold relief. The Afghan health minister is presented with surgical instruments and medicines made in India, a gift from India. Afghanistan's economy, like India's, is mainly an agricultural economy. Here, 85% of the population are farmers, and 70% of the Afghan national income is derived from the land. Aided by modern technical know-how, Afghanistan expects this year to have a green tide of abundance that will bring about a better way of life for all. To help the green tide grow, Srimati Gandhi presents Indian-made farm implements worth over 200,000 rupees to Afghanistan's agricultural ministry. India will also aid the country in the fields of agriculture, irrigation and power. On the eve of her departure, India's Prime Minister hosts a banquet. A joint communique issued by the premiers of both nations reaffirms their faith in the principles of the Tashkent Declaration. The two leaders agree that economic cooperation and trade among the countries of this region is of great importance and could be further developed to the benefit of all our peoples. For both India and Afghanistan, peace is vital for raising the living standards of each nation as rapidly as possible, so that the image of prosperity becomes a reality in our own time.